Yeah. Hi, everyone. I am Carolyn Apostolou. I'm a corporate health and wellbeing coach. I am super excited to be back on the show for a second time. We are chatting all things about preventing burnout. So healthy habits that you can instigate today. We'll also be talking about my 30-day reset, which you are welcome to join. So I'll see you on the other side of the episode.
Now, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show. And boy, I don't say that lightly today, because this is the ultimate destination for exclusive insights into personal and professional growth. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today I'm thrilled to welcome back a familiar face. Now, Carolyn, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me back.
Absolutely. The pleasure is all mine. You know what this tells us, Carolyn? That we must have done something really, really good, that you couldn't wait to come back on the show. And I can't wait to, talk about what you've been up to and everything else that you've been helping your clients achieve. So I'm excited today.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Me too.
Great stuff. For those that are meeting Carolyn for the very first time, let me just take you from under the internet rock you've been hiding under, because we've had an episode with Carolyn that has garnered so many views, and we had to have her back. Now, Carolyn is a powerhouse in the realm of workplace well-being, and she's known for her transformative 30-day reset program, and also her ability to turn burnout into breakthrough. Now, as a mother of 4 and a seasoned professional herself, she comes with a background in psychology and education, and she also brings a unique blend of empathy, expertise into the coaching practice that she runs. And in our previous conversation, Carolyn shared with us her journey from the classroom to corporate wellness. And today we're just going to dive deeper into her story and also explore the pivotal moments that actually shaped her path, and uncovering the strategies that she uses to help individuals and organizers thrive. Now, if you've been looking for a way to maybe reset your health, your energy, and your balance for free, I think this is the podcast that you want to be checking out, because once we are done with you, you'll really re-immerse yourself into a life that is full of vibrant energy, restful sleep, and unshakable confidence. So many people pay so much money to be able to have just a restful sleep and things of that nature, but you are being afforded that for free. Why? Because you're subscribed to the Online Prosperity Show. And if you haven't, make sure this is your cue to subscribe to the show. Now, Carolyn, I could go on and talk about things I'm not even qualified to talk about that. First of all, welcome back. I mean, when we last spoke, I don't know if you remember, you actually shared your transition from education to wellness coaching. Could you just maybe remind our listeners what sparked that change? Because you could have been enjoying all the school holidays and hanging out with kids, instead of having
I still do. As a business owner, I make my own time and my own work, and that fits around my other commitments with my kids. So I can still enjoy the school holidays. Don't worry.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I think COVID hit, right? And so many people look at their life pre-COVID and past, since COVID, and we can see that definite change in trajectory for many people, and I'm certainly one of the same. And I think it was during that time when I had many friends who run small businesses say, Carolyn, can you run a mental health workshop on Zoom for my employees? I really don't know where to start. I'm not qualified. And of course, I've got a psych background and I love teaching. So empowering people with skills and tips that they could use whilst they were working from home was something that I was more than happy to do. And of course, the owners of those businesses kept saying, they loved you. What else can you talk to them about? We've got a budget for this. And I'd be like, okay, great. I've got these ideas. And so away we go. And so, yes, my transition was quite smooth. It was a need at the time, and it's just further developed now into half-day workshops, full-day programs. I've just come back actually from running a leadership and wellness retreat that I ran last week down at the beautiful Cape Schanck on the Mornington Peninsula. And that was specifically aimed at senior executives and corporate workers, right, who are struggling with managing everything, and their work-life balance is out of alignment and they don't really know where to start. But good on them, because we had 15 ladies commit to coming who said, you know what, I need help, I need strategies, and I'm ready for a restart. So that was great.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing and shedding light into what you've been up to and what that sort of looked like. Now, you did mention the great pivot that a lot of people did, during the pandemic. I mean, if you would have come to my household, Carolyn, well, you wouldn't have, because we were socially distancing, but the kitchen table in and of itself became a boardroom. It became a classroom. It became a restaurant. And it also became a laundromat, because everything was just being put on there. What was it like in your household, and how did you cope?
Oh, God, it was madness. Talk about, we only had one device in our house prior to that for the kids to use. My eldest at that time was in grade 5, and so she had the bring your own device to school iPad, and we had no desks for the kids. So like you said before, I've got 4 children, and we had a rule that there was no devices upstairs. Mind you, she only had the one device, which pretty much only went to school and back. And so suddenly we had to do online learning. Well, how are we going to do online learning with 4 children? Even the youngest, who was only in 3-year-old kinder at the time, had to be online for certain music sessions each day, or to hear the kinder teacher reading a book. And of course, all the timings were the same, similar times. So we couldn't have only one device. So we had to blow out budget in terms of getting more devices. I had to get desks for everybody, and we had to kind of look at the boundaries and, maybe make things a bit more flexible, that we could have devices upstairs in kids' rooms during those times that they had to do online learning with their teacher, because we couldn't all sit around the kitchen table with me doing my mental health workshops, plus 4 kids trying to interact with their teacher and do that learning. We had to come up with some solutions. So we made it work, but gee, it wasn't pretty. And I definitely don't want to go back to that in any way, shape or form.
Absolutely. Well, so many people obviously came out of that completely changed, because, not being able to see people the whole 10 kilometers and things of that nature. Some people actually started experiencing a lot of burnout. And I think that's when it became very apparent that, yes, we were doing this, but most of it, I think there was a code word in them saying these jobs were non-essential. Now, did you start maybe feeling any of that around you, or from people that would have been talking to you saying, hey, wait a minute, this is just not where it's supposed to be?
Yeah, I think for me and the line of work that I do, what I have seen the benefit of those lockdowns is we have a lot more organisations now who understand that their staff can work just as effectively at home, that they don't need to be present in the office 5 days a week. So I do think that that is a really big positive that has come out of that time. And for the younger generation who potentially live on their own or may live with one flatmate, I can understand their desire to be back in the office for 5 days a week and to be around all those other people and social activities. But for a lot of mums and dads over the age of 40 or whatever, working from home a couple of days a week is ideal. It means that they can do school drop-offs and pickups. They can work their day in the middle of the day. They can do extra hours, at night or on the weekend to fill up that void if that needs to happen. But I think actually it's great to see more and more workplaces being more flexible. And we know a lot of workplaces downsized their business premises during that COVID time, and they haven't gone back to big open plan learning and working areas. And so that does allow staff to have more flexibility and have a couple of days at home if they want to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting about this is obviously you were at the forefront of all of this. You were actually seeing and also ushering people into mental wellness programs and things that you were experiencing and things like that. So I'm assuming you may not have been affected by any sort of burnout yourself and things
That's
of that
right.
nature because you knew how to self regulate or something.
Exactly. So, whilst I haven't ever experienced burnout, my husband absolutely have, and also some close friends of ours have. And quite often, when you are living with somebody who is experiencing that, it can feel like it's you, right? You see the lack of sleep, you see the lack of motivation, you see the constant overwhelm. You don't really know how they are ever going to pull themselves out of it. And half the time, they can't even realize it for themselves. It's funny because I was asked to write a chapter on burnout for a book collaboration, which I did. And I asked my husband, could you have a read of this just to tell me if, it makes sense, if I should change anything? He's highly intelligent, right? So I wanted his perspective, and he goes, oh, do you actually think I'm burnt out? So do you know what I mean? Like at that point in time, he hadn't even realized it of himself, even though, I could be dropping hints and going, might be a nice idea to stop working now and let's get to bed, so that you're still having good sleep and you function more effectively tomorrow. So quite often, the person themselves can't even see it. It could be their close friends, it could be their close colleagues in the office that may start to see the signs. So that can be quite scary.
Absolutely. From what you're saying, it does now look like fish don't see the water that they swim in. And it takes those that are outside of the frame to actually see the picture. Now, what can people look out for, especially if their loved ones might be going down that spiral and maybe they are wanting to help them, maybe without rescuing them, but at least start showing
Well, at least
those signs?
encouraging them to speak to a professional, right? To go to their GP, to make an appointment with a local psychologist, those sorts of things. But common things that people will experience is that lack of motivation. And it could be that they would get out and go for a run a few times a week, and it could be something personal that they're just, not actually doing anymore, or it could just be the motivation to get up, to get dressed, to go to the office. So you may see them working more from home instead of actually going to the office space. It can be disruptive to their sleep. So they could be from one extreme of not sleeping at all to sleeping all weekend, right? So you'll start to see kind of the wheels falling off. It's like watching a train that's about to derail, right? You usually are more aware of what's about to happen than them actually noticing. And it can just be that they're just off. Something's just off. They might be coming into late work. They may be not taking lunch breaks. They might just not really look as happy and as engaged in the office space with other staff. Perhaps they're just becoming a little more quiet and not so talkative in the staff room about their family, about what's going on. And it might just be an opportunity for you to say, hey, let's grab a coffee and go for a walk. And you just sort of one-on-one checking in on them and saying something if you feel comfortable doing that. I've noticed you might have been coming into work a little bit late, or you just something seems a little bit amiss. When was the last time you sort of spoke to your GP about how you're feeling? Those, and it might just be a little bit of a prompt.
Absolutely. And obviously while you were experiencing this through your husband, it became a personal challenge. I mean, you are a family, with 4 kids and things of that nature that might have had some sort of, offshoot to the kids and stuff like that. But how did this personal challenge then influence now your personal mission?
Well, I guess as much as I wanted to help him to move through it, right, and to have support, I also didn't want the kids to miss out on having him around, and attending sports activities and things like that with him. So that just really empowered me to want to help more and more people who may be, on the cusp of burnout themselves. How can they really transform what they're going through and making steps to come out the other side without, a marriage breakdown and losing those relationships and that quality time with their kids?
Oh, I can imagine. And obviously, like we have already established, they don't notice and they just bringing all
They
that.
often don't. Correct.
Absolutely. Now, you've got a 30-day reset program, and that's the
Correct.
reason why I didn't want to hear it from the grapevine. I was like, bring her over, you know.
Right.
If we had a budget, we would have sent a chopper, you know. Have you ever seen in the movies where, you know, they're looking for answers and then, you know, the
Yeah.
intern just passes a business card and it just said, Caroline, 30-day. And I was like, send a
Right.
chopper down. Let's have her on the show. It's garnered attention because of its effectiveness, and
Right.
it's obviously making a difference in people's lives. First of all,
Mm.
tell us what makes this program stand out from any other wellness initiatives out there.
Well, I think quite often people want results and they want them quickly. So they don't sort of want to have to go to the gym for 6 months or, be on a 3 month eating plan. People kind of get less excited by that. So I wanted to make it short and sweet. And I think anything shorter than 30 days, we can't really be sure that the changes are going to be long lasting. And I really want to empower people to make some simple changes that they can keep up for the rest of their lives, right? So I didn't want it to be overwhelming, so that the time span was really important to me. I think, look, everybody comes from a different background, with finances. Some people are stretched, and other people have abundant finances. I wanted to make it an inexpensive option. So I've actually made it a free course. If you get a lot of value out of the course, well, that's an extra bonus, right? If you want to get sharper results, then, you can buy additional products that I can guide you with to, increase your results. But I wanted it to be attainable for everybody. I wanted to teach people some key healthy habits over the sort of 4 weeks that I, don't even think twice about now, right? So in week 1, I focus on hydration, so drinking more water, because we look at the population and most people are dehydrated. They're not drinking nearly enough water. And so I try to encourage people, that's right, grab your drink bottle, have a drink. I'll do the same, right?
Absolutely.
Encouraging people to be thinking about how much do they currently drink of water each day. Now, that can include your green tea, or if you're using coconut water in your smoothie in the morning, those sorts of things. We're not talking about alcohol consumption, and I don't really talk about that during the 30-day reset, except to encourage people to look at their consumption and be responsible. And if they're really wanting to have results in 30 days, then lowering their consumption or having no alcohol is obviously going to be of a benefit to them. So we're focusing on hydration. The first week also looks at sleep, because if we are not getting quality sleep, the wheels also can fall off. For people that are wanting to be motivated and have good cognitive clarity, then if we're not sleeping well, we're kind of like a deer in headlights, right? If people are wanting to lose weight, we cannot lose weight if we're not sleeping. So sleep and water hydration are so integral. We have to start there, right? The second week of the reset looks at gentle exercise, because most people are working and they're in their car, they're driving a lot. Whether it's them, they're driving kids, they're not actually engaging in gentle exercise, which is super important. So we're starting to get into the habit of walking every day. And whether you need a step count, a daily step count to stretch you, or you just need to, put it on the calendar, a 30-minute walk every day. Right. So we look at that in week 2. Week 3, we build on the gentle exercise to trying to include 2 or 3 weight resistant type exercises. And for people that may never have owned weights or never been to a gym, we try to make it achievable for everybody. And you can always find weights at your local op shop or at Kmart, inexpensive. And, I'll give you some, I'm not a PT, but I've got enough background knowledge to give you some advice around some lightweight resistance type exercise that you can do 3 sets of, a day or every couple of days to start to build strength. And so that's the focus of week 3, as well as looking at our food, because quite often we may be thinking that we're having a very healthy diet, but when I ask you to keep a food diary, lots of things sneak in, or you might not be as honest with the food diary as I'm hoping that you'll be. And I'm not saying don't have any chocolate or alcohol, right? But we're trying to have a focus for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? Where we've got a portion of protein on our plate, right? Hand size amount. We've got some carbohydrates, right? And we've got vegetables, or we've got salad, right? So that every meal time we've got that broken up on our plate. And I will give people in the reset ideas. I will take a photo. It's not a beautifully plated up restaurant photo, but you will see what I am eating. And I am very transparent. What you see is what you get. And you'll see me, what I'm eating, and you'll see how easy it is, right, to make a better choice. And instead of, perhaps eating the kids' leftover toast with jam for breakfast, you're actually having some overnight oats that literally took 2 minutes to prep the night before, right? Or you're having a protein smoothie, or you're having some simple eggs on toast with some avocado and some spinach, right? So giving you some ideas to how to make some better choices with what you are fueling your body with, right? And then the 4th week, we kind of just keep doing everything but at a higher intensity. So if in week 3 you've only sort of done 2 sort of resistance type workouts, maybe you're stretching yourself to doing 3 or 4. It might be that, you have struggled with changing from your porridge for breakfast, but I've given you the idea. You know what, if you still want to have the oats and no protein, maybe in week 4 you've actually decided to add some, Greek yogurt on top of your porridge, or you've added a scoop of protein powder in with the oats when they've been cooking. So, most people really say by the end of the 4 weeks, they've learnt some habits that they may not have been doing before, but they've been really consistent for those 30 days, and they're well on their way to living a healthier and more balanced life. And if I can help people to do that, I often say, 1% better today than yesterday. And we see that happening through the program week after week.
Absolutely. And just going through, and thank you so much for sharing that, because
You're welcome.
first of all, you got me to drink water. And second of all, I mean, we're in Melbourne, and if I don't see the sun, I usually don't drink. It's just a habit.
Yes.
I don't feel
Yes.
like I'm being dehydrated, but it's just a good habit for people to take. It feels like it's a pattern break.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People are just waking up, doing stuff. And like you said, just finishing up your kids' food or whatnot and things like that without being mindful of what is actually happening and taking stock of, the food that you're taking in and stuff like that. You must get a lot of people just coming back to you saying you have completely gotten them to rethink their choices, because so many of us are just on autopilot.
I know. I've just shared so many tips over the years that people are always coming back. I still remember when you told me aim for 1 litre by 11 o'clock in the morning and a 2nd litre of water by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I picked up that piece of advice that you shared about keeping a drink bottle in the car when I'm driving, and every red light having a bit of a sip of water, right? And you easily get to the 2 litres by the 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And women who really struggle with nighttime and sleep, looking at getting a lot of their intake of water done in the day, early in the day, right? So we're not up in the nighttime to go to the bathroom.
Absolutely. So with all of this now, do I obviously have to drop whatever I'm doing just to pay attention to you for the next 30 days? Or what's the rules of engagement?
Yeah, I have a WhatsApp group. What I have found is that a lot of people are not on Facebook anymore, which is fine. It's been utilised in the past for many groups. I found that doesn't always work. A lot of people are just anti-social media anyway. I found that a WhatsApp group is really good. You can stay in the group, you can opt out of it at any point in time. So once your 4 weeks are up, I'm not kicking you out, but lots of people do remove themselves after the group, or they stay in, and that's completely fine too. So Generally, I'll do 1 or 2 messages in the WhatsApp group every day. I don't want to overwhelm people, but it could just be me out for a walk saying, hey guys, it is raining in Melbourne, but I'm out for my walk. Hopefully you've been out for your walk today. Or, it could be me demonstrating some food or some lightweight exercises, or just a photo. It could just be a text message in that group that you can see at any point in time, just to inspire you and to keep you on track.
Wow. Yeah. There I was thinking, this is going to be me having to move into your, backyard with a tent outside, and we're doing this whole thing. So just as simple as just a message on WhatsApp, and I can engage with it whenever I want to, but it's just like a prompt.
Correct. I've got people in New Zealand in the group. I've got a lady in America in the group, somebody I think somewhere in Asia in the group as well. And yeah, some people are more active. Lots of people just sit back and watch and use that, and often say to me, oh, when I stopped kind of actively participating, I still benefited from seeing your messages of encouragement and seeing you out and about doing things that reminded me, oh, have a big glass of water, or what am I eating for lunch today?
Absolutely, because I feel like what you're doing there, because representation matters. If you're around people that are doing certain things, you would, by obviously being a human, be influenced to want to do the same things, and you become an average of the people you hang around with. So if the people that you're with are not wanting to exercise, not hydrating themselves and just feeding themselves with whatever it is, you now have a community of people that are motivated to actually want more, be more, and have more. And what else is in this group now? And how do I join it? Because I think my phone is ready.
Well, I'm going to give you the landing page at the end, Prosper, and you can share it with the listeners. That's really it. You can just look on the landing page. You can join the WhatsApp group. Anyone that wants to have a chat about it first, or perhaps have me answer any questions, they can just make a time to jump into my calendar, and you can see that on the landing page too. But I think it has a massive flow-on effect. I've had ladies say to me, and I've got men and women in the group, ladies say to me, my kids are now saying, Mum, you haven't been out for your walk, let's go. And I think that's really, really empowering, because we want a generation growing up that is more aware of their activity levels, their sleep patterns, and what they're eating. So yay, that's great.
Absolutely. And I feel like, there's a whole difference of when somebody is engaging in a WhatsApp type group than when they're on Facebook, because with WhatsApp, that connects you with your phone, that connects you with who you are. You're not anonymous anymore. Whereas in a Facebook group, you could have a fake profile, show up, and then see what other people are doing and things of that nature. And I just really kind of feel like there's that accountability that comes in within the group. Is there any group participation that is involved, or is it a one way that only you are posting and things?
No, it's up to the person. I've got some ladies sharing what they had for breakfast this morning, or them in the gym, or, oh, hey guys, I just found this online workout and I did this and I thought you guys might be interested in. So you're welcome to share that. I do a Tuesday night live Zoom. So kind of like this, I'm on for half an hour, 7:30 Melbourne time till 8 o'clock, to answer any pressing questions that people have. Sometimes we have a few people on the Zoom, sometimes we have only 1 or 2, and they have a private consultation with me on anything that they would like to talk about. But generally, we're talking about the focus for the week, any roadblocks that they may be having.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I can only imagine, because if you can see other people that are also going through that particular exercise, it also really showcases to you that it works. But Carolyn, you've been in the education sector before. You've got psychology things you haven't even burned out yourself, and you're exercising and drinking water that is evident, looking after your kids and things like that. Some of us, we're not that clever. Does this actually work on real humans? Like, is there anyone
Hey, if I can have work-life balance with all that I've got going on, I think you can too. And I just keep, nurturing those people in my space, right? 1% better today than yesterday. So if that means that yesterday you opted for a non-healthy, nutritious lunch, what have you had today? Yeah, had some leftover chicken from dinner last night with some rice and some tomatoes, right? Great, amazing. That's better than yesterday, right? So I'm not perfect in any way, shape, or form, but I've got the ideas and I know what to do and I know how to really empower others to do the same.
Absolutely. But Carolyn, I don't think you've seen my family. My kids, they eat anything. My wife, she's deciding to just literally shop the whole aisle of whatever is of a fantasy. I was brought up in Africa, Carolyn, where we didn't
Yeah,
have food. So now I'm seeing food and everything is
yeah,
exciting. How
yes,
do I then obviously as a person, if maybe even if we're in the group or whatever it is, how do I maybe set maybe boundaries around myself so that whatever it is around does not derail me from the 30-day
yeah, of course.
yes.
I get what you're saying. I think, you know what, sometimes it's good to be open with those that we are sharing homes with. So it would be up to you to say to your wife, hey, let's do this together for 30 days, right? Let's really consider what we are spending our money on. Let's perhaps not go through the middle of the supermarket. Let's just go around the outside, right? Fruits, vegetables, meat. Let's just, think about healthy snacks. Let's think about our responsibility as adults and what we're doing and what we're eating and how we're moving our bodies to empower the kids, right? Because we don't want generations of kids, being unfit, being, not making good choices with their food intake. And think at the moment we're seeing huge numbers of kids on devices. I think I saw an average of 8 hours a day and I was horrified. Thankfully, my kids are not on devices for that long a day, but they are still on devices, right? But the more that we can keep them active and aware of their physical activity, the better. Yeah.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for
Yeah.
obviously opening that up because so many people don't know how to set boundaries, even for their
Right.
loved ones. And I
Mm-hmm.
read somewhere, where it says it's because of society that it makes it very difficult for us to tell other people, hey, listen, I'm going to need to straighten up and also start eating better and things of that nature. It looks like it's an attack on the people involved. Now,
Right.
Carolyn, when I came to Australia, there was one statement that I kept hearing, and everyone was just going, she'll be all right, mate. She'll be all right, and people just, and yeah, I started just thinking, yeah, she'll be all right. Whoever she is, she'll be fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's people that just think things will work out on their own and things like that.
Mm.
Well, what sort of advice would you have to people that are gonna wait until ducks are in a row and things, just
Yeah, absolutely. I would send people away to do some journaling, even for 5 minutes. How are you feeling right now? How are your energy levels right now? In the now, the here and now, are you where you want to be? And think about where do you want to go to in the future in terms of I want to be here for my kids and for my grandkids. I want to be strong so that I don't fall over and break a hip when I'm 70 and then end up in a nursing home. Think about the life choices now, but also think into the future, right? And if there's anything that's to do with health and well-being that you want help with, please don't hesitate to reach out because that's what I'm here for. That's what I love. I could talk about it to you all day. We can do 10 episodes, right? About looking after our health and our well-being so we are living well. We're just not living long lives where we're unhealthy and we're frail and we don't have, good bone density and stuff like that. I mean, we could go really deep if we wanted to, but I'm really here and now about helping people, like the sun is shining where I am here in Melbourne, like getting out in the vitamin D. Do you know that our immune system is compromised when our vitamin D levels are low? I know we're heading into winter, but it is so important to get out in the natural sunlight if we can every single day, right? The UV level's low, so don't be slapping on so much sunscreen that you don't need it at the moment in Melbourne, right?
Yeah.
So, I think we do need to think about, well, is our life today as we would want it to be, and moving into the future? And if there's anything that you need help with, whether that be sleep, whether that be exercise, because, you might walk 10,000 steps a day, but you don't feel strong. You could be running after kids all day, but you actually are not engaging. And you could be somebody that is over the age of 40 that, is actually losing bone density, and you need to actually gain strength and gain muscle to protect your bones, so that you're not going to be frail as a 70-year-old.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, somebody would be interested to jump on this. We'll be putting the links onto how they can get on to this 30-day reset. But what happens after the 30 days?
Well, like I said before, after the 30 days, you can stay in the program if you want to. I don't kick anybody out. But quite often after 30 days, people feel like they're set up and they're well on their way. They can always rejoin at any period of time. So it's really up to the person.
Absolutely. And maybe somebody might need a little bit extra hand holding and things of that nature. What have you got in store for people like that?
Of course. I have a 6-month program. So anybody that tries the 30-day reset and goes, wow, I never had a coach before. I didn't know what it was going to be like, but gosh, it was incredible. I loved hearing from you every day. I want to keep hearing from you. Obviously, I do have ongoing coaching programs. Most of my clients choose a 6-month package where we meet. And if we can meet in Melbourne face to face, great. If not, a lot of my clients are based interstate. So we just jump on Zoom for an hour every month. Or if they want faster results, we do every 2 weeks for 3 months. And that's an hour of my time. And that's looking at your pie of life. That is looking at all the things that are important to you, whether that be relationships, sleep, work, exercise, nutrition. We look at all of that and we talk strategies every single time about how we can improve in those areas to make real transformation and growth.
Absolutely. And I'll make sure that all those links are in the show notes so that people can actually jump on board and get started. Now,
terrific.
I think I mentioned this before, but I kind of feel like you're literally giving people back to themselves.
Yeah,
because
I know.
so many people are just starting the day, going through whatever they're going through, living through their phones, coming back home and just piling it all up to do it again tomorrow. But I feel like you're presenting to them somewhat of a pattern break, and you're like, you know what? Let's reset. Let us do it together. You can see that other people are doing it and they're not dying, and you can come out on the other end, nice and proper, and you do what you may with what you've achieved, and there you are, back to yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, that's it. I mean, the retreat that I ran last week, so many of the ladies said, you know what? I didn't actually realize how much I needed this sort of 2-day reset, right? And it's the same with the 30 days, right? Obviously, we're not going to, a luxurious home down at Cape Schanck and having a private chef cook our meals, right? But it's that hand holding, it's that cheerleading, like I've got your back, I'm out for a walk, even though the weather may not be great, or this is what I've had for lunch. It's nothing fancy, but you can have this too, right? Tin of tuna, leftover roast veggies from the roast last night, whatever it might be, really inspiring you in your health and your well-being.
Absolutely. And this is well, truly and good, but we want to know what's next. What are you working on? Just so that I'm just doing this so that my team knows what to reach out for next time so that we can get you back on the show.
Absolutely. Well, I have another retreat, which is really aimed any senior executives or senior leaders that are listening in. Feel free to message me or contact me via LinkedIn. The next retreat is going to be in October. It's a 2-night situation where we do go down to beautiful Cape Schanck and talk leadership, talk goal settings professionally and personally, and really help with well-being. If that's something on your cards, have a think about that. I am working with a lot of schools at the moment to roll out a digital well-being program to students. So watch this space. Maybe we can talk about that next time. And I am working with local government actually, and I have implemented a 12-month program with some, I can't say specifically which department, but I'm running lots of leadership and wellbeing workshops with our local government. So that is super exciting to be delivering to thousands of people every month and really inspiring them with their health and well-being. So yeah, lots is happening, but there's definitely room for that 30-day WhatsApp message every day, and time to look after me and to have one-on-one time with my kids most days, and yeah, just to enjoy life.
Absolutely. I've learned quite a lot just listening to you in the last 30 minutes, and I can only imagine what the 30 days would be like and things of that nature. So
Very
thank you
kind.
so much. And I'm also really
Welcome.
intrigued about the digital detox that you're doing with kids, because over the weekend I counted, we have about 16 screens in our whole house.
Ooh,
and
yeah.
and 85% of them are in my office. So it's just so maybe I'll be signing up myself, for that digital detox and things of
Yeah.
that nature. But my
Yeah.
excuse is my work is on the internet, so I need to be seeing everything from a 360 point of view. But
Correct.
now, Carolyn,
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough, not only for this particular episode, but for the episode prior. And obviously, with the way you are working and operating, it looks like we should make this a staple. Once a year or so, we just have
I'd
you
love
visit.
to.
Yeah, and then you let us know what you're up to, because I feel like so much is happening in people's lives. We're all just going through life without actually taking time to stop and reflect and really see whether where we're headed is helping us, or we're literally winning the race to the bottom.
Yeah. And look at that. Go with the time that you have available. Don't think, oh gosh, I haven't got an hour, so I can't go to the gym today. You can still do a 5-minute walk around the block. And when I say to students, don't study for hours on end, study for a 45-minute block and have a 15-minute break. And during that 15 minutes, go pat the dog or go jump on the trampoline for 5 minutes, or go for a walk for 5 minutes. Go with the time that you've got available so that you're hitting all the markers, right, of those healthy habits.
The one thing I like about all this is you can't do well if you don't feel well. All right. So
Right. Yeah.
most of us are really out there trying to burn out, wanting to do well. And it only just starts off from drinking water. As
Yeah, we
simple
want to
as that.
burn brightly, right? We want to shine brightly because we have the energy and the vitality. We don't want to burn out like a candle that's just, burnt at both ends, right? So, yeah, burn brightly in your area of your life.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights and experiences with us today. I mean, your dedication to fostering these wealthier workplaces and human beings, and also just empowering people to want more, be more, and have more is truly, truly inspiring. So keep doing
Oh,
what you're doing.
thank you. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Great stuff. For those that are watching right now, if Carolyn's journey resonated with you, I actually encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments below. And just let us know. Maybe you faced burnout, or you know somebody who's about to face burnout. And if you do, share with them this particular episode so they too might be able to join the 30-day reset, or maybe you can join and then you can help them along the way. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to the Online Prosperity Show for more enlightening conversations like this, because in the next episode, we're going to be exploring innovative ways to enhance your happiness and fulfillment. And I can't thank Carolyn enough for being a 2-time guest. And obviously now we're getting used to this. So it's one of those things. I will be putting all those links in the show notes so that you can connect with Carolyn and join the 30-day reset. And I can't wait to see what you're going to do with this information today. In the meantime, stay strong. Bye for now.